Hello and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton. And today we're going to talk about the Mayor's Book Club and what it does to stimulate the idea and the practice of reading in our young folks. My guests are from Healthy Families, Allison Nelson and Phyllis Henry. Welcome.
Thank you.
And I have to say that introducing you from Healthy Families is going to throw some people because they're going to say, no, she's there from the school board. No, she's there from many social and other organizations in the community. So we'll acknowledge all of that.
Okay.
But you're the current chairwoman of the board of Healthy Families Partnership, which is your nonprofit foundation.
Right. When Healthy Families was organized as a city program, somebody had the bright idea that, gee, maybe people in the community would like to contribute to Healthy Families, and you can't contribute to the city. We already do that. And so they created HFP Inc., which is a nonprofit, and we have funds that are available then to help individual families or children that need help at the time.
Things that government funds can't be used for necessarily, that you don't want to wait for the paperwork for.
Exactly.
Immediate needs, definitely. Yes. I know diapers. I mean, there's a whole lot of things that you guys do to help people that is.
Well, I think one of the things that people are most familiar with is Welcome Baby, and those packets that greet new mothers in the hospital. That's one of our ways to reach out to new mothers who might need some assistance from Healthy Families, and I think that's one of the areas that a lot of local civic clubs are used to contributing to Welcome Babies, and that's part of the funds that Healthy Families, Inc. handles.
Got it.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the Mayor's Book Club. It is one of the 3 programs in our community that Hampton won the All-America City Award for, and that required us to prove that it was making a difference and that it was a broad community-based program. So let's talk about how it got started and what it does. And Phyllis, I'm going to look at you for that right at the beginning.
Well, it's called the Mayor's Book Club because it was begun under the auspices of then Mayor Molly Ward, who was concerned about the fact that with literacy, one of the concerns is having age-appropriate books in the hands of young children so that they become young readers. And there was some information that 1 in 13, there are 13 books per child in the average middle-class family, and I thought, I wish it was only that few in my house. The bookcases are exploding.
And I can't get rid of them. I still have those little children's books because some of them just...
They're wonderful. Oh. And but there are some national statistics that paint a much grimmer picture, that there are basically very, very few, if any, age-appropriate books in the hands of children who live in poverty. And so our goal is not to target anyone, but to make sure that all of Hampton's children have age-appropriate books and are encouraged in the love of reading early on. So Molly Ward began this really interesting community partnership because all the funds to buy the books are donated by community partners. And they're wonderful community partners, different organizations at Langley Field, Old Point Bank, they're
Bayport Credit Union, Cox Charities this year, the Holiday Fund from the Daily Press,
yes.
The Langley Thrift Store, the civic associations like the Exchange Club,
and lots of Kiwanis and lots of churches.
Yeah.
And while Healthy Families Inc. gives $3,000, which is enough for 1 month's budget, other people give a lesser amount because it's all going to the same pot and it's buying the books for the children. And we budget at $4 a child, but we've been a lot leaner than that. We've been operating at probably $2 a book for a child. And the object is to not just read to the children, but that all the 4-year-olds will go home with a copy of the book, so that at the end of the year they have their own library of 8 to 10 books that belong to them.
And I've done this. I've read to kids before, and I think it's the books you guys pick are such participatory books. A lot of times there's a refrain or there's a part that the kids can join in on and try to follow along with the words. But it's also them loving the books. Falling in love with those books and going home and kind of reading them to their parents and things like that.
Well, Allison can tell you about the materials that go home with the book.
Of course, every child in the preschool gets a copy of the book, and most of the books are hardback or very good quality paperback books. And then to supplement that, we send home a newsletter, the Mayor's Book Club newsletter, with each child. And that has information about the book, activities that you can do, interactive games that you can participate in to make the book come alive. Just like the volunteer reader does when they're in the school, the parent can bring the book alive at home. And the other great thing that I like about the newsletter is it gives you information on what's happening in the community to supplement the book. For instance, if we're talking about animals, perhaps you can go to Bluebird Gap Farm, the Norfolk Zoo, the Virginia Living Museum. So it's just things in the community that may be free or low cost that a family can go and participate. And again, keep that book alive, keep the interest alive for the reader and the child to want to continue to read that book. I mean, I think we all have that favorite book we remember as a child, and we want one of our books to become that favorite book for our children.
Well, I think the readers get all into this. I remember the very first book that Molly Ward picked out was the Hungry Hungry Caterpillar, because that was a favorite of one of her children. And so when I heard about George Wallace going to read, and he took the Hungry Hungry Caterpillar eats 1 orange and 2 this and 3 that. He brought all of the items, including the pickles and the cupcake and the piece of pie and the pizza, whatever it was. So all of the things, it's about counting in colors and everything else, as well as the Hungry Hungry Caterpillar. But I was so impressed. I thought, well, I've got to step up my game here.
I don't go that far.
The last time I read, I was Mrs. McNosh and the Giant Squash. And so I took squash seeds and squash plants and squash, and it was neat because the kindergarten teacher they'd been planting seedlings, and they knew about dicotyledons. They didn't use the term, but it was 2-leaf seedlings, and so it was kind of fun, and we all wanted to see the squash. And a friend of mine called and said, my granddaughter was in that class, and we have had to plant a squash seed at home.
Isn't that wonderful?
But the main thing is, as a child, you have a favorite book, you ask your parent to read it to you. Then after a while, you know all the pictures, and you can tell the story back to your parent. And then if you keep doing it, you start to identify the words. And it's something about putting your finger on those words and finding those first words in reading that makes a big difference. And of course, the enthusiasm and love for having books around.
Now, we're talking about this and sort of the warm and fuzzy benefits of loving books, but there is statistical analysis of what it does for our students.
Absolutely.
And that more of our students in the PALS reading test, fewer students are needing that extra help. More students are reaching the goals of reading it close, at least, to where they're supposed to be on grade level, because they've been through this reading program in 4-year-old preschool and in 5-year-old kindergarten.
Right. We actually the program was initiated for 4-year-olds, and they all get a copy of the book. And it was so successful, and we had so many volunteers, that we also read to kindergarten and 1st grade. And we read in every elementary school in Hampton, and we read at downtown Hampton Child Center, with Presbyterian, Langley Child Care, a variety of private partners too, because there are lots of people in the private preschool business. But the thing that's amazing is to see, if you visit kindergarten classes, kindergartners are not learning letters, they're learning how to read. I mean, they've learned letters in 4-year-old kindergarten, preschool, and by the end of kindergarten, they're reading. They're really reading, and it's very exciting. I'll go in with kindergarten and I'll read the book, and then they have a copy. I'll ask them to read along, and it's amazing. They're really reading in kindergarten, and our goal is to have the critical juncture is 3rd grade.
Right.
You want to have that 3rd grade reading test be a success, and that's a lot of our efforts are doing that. We've also are partnering with Healthy Families is partnering with Hampton City Schools Title I to reach out to all the providers of preschool that are not public providers, and offer them any kind of staff development they would like and any other encouragement, so that it's the approach Hampton Village for literacy.
And, I want to overemphasize this, but it saves the taxpayer money. I mean, the reason that third grade benchmark is such a big deal is it's how much it costs to educate them. It's that the state looks at how many jail cells they're going to need based on how many kids can't survive the third grade. I mean, it is a really critical point. And this program, the Mayor's Book Club, runs with very little taxpayer dollars, right,
really,
Allison? How
it really
much?
does.
It's a salary of one part-time person.
A part-time employee is all that is invested in by the city of Hampton financially. Now, we have all the readers, so we have 60 volunteer readers a month that read between September and May.
And it's a bigger pool. It's a huge pool.
Oh, yeah, it's a huge pool because lots of us, I'm, in or out based on what
Right,
my
and
schedule
people,
is.
it's so great. You can go to the website to sign up to be a reader, and then you can look at your calendar and go, okay, I can read in May and, January, but February's, not good for me. So people can decide when they want to read. You don't have to make a long-term commitment. We get readers from all over. I think the children love seeing the readers come into the school. And I know when I look on the website and I see all the photos of the different types of readers we've had, like men and women in uniforms,
police
officers, fire, Langley, all of that.
It's a cool thing
It
to little
is.
kids when you show up and tell them. I don't tell them what I really do because what I really do is boring. I only tell them the part about being on TV.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, they love that.
Yes.
Yeah, I know when I go in the school to read, the kids notice, they recognize, oh, the book club lady's here. That's the first thing they say. And they remember the books that have been read to them. They remember the books that were read to them last year in preschool. And sometimes they actually remember you as a reader. So it's so exciting. I think the children get a lot out of it, but I think the volunteers do too. I know after I go there, I'm not going to have a bad day, because I've been in a classroom
so energized.
and it's fulfilling, and it's less than an hour of your time, which is great.
Now, Marcy Messick, who coordinates this, is just the gold star employee because she contacts all the schools and gets their optimum schedule for the readers to come. And there's a contact person there, and she'll post to all the people on it. She'll send out an email that says, okay, I have these days. Would any of you like to read this time? And she doesn't get her feelings hurt when it's a bad month and you can't read this month. You can read next month. And so it's not a permanent commitment. This is the Thursday I have to read. No, you might read on any day of the week, sometimes morning, sometimes afternoon. You let the school near you. If you're in uniform at Langley, you can run over to the Langley Child Center and not be away from work too long. And it is a lot of fun, and you can find the information on the Healthy Families website. There's a button for the Mayor's Book Club. And you can register there. You can call Marcy. I think we're going to give you her phone number. And it's very easy to volunteer, and it is very, very rewarding.
I think there are people who are a little bit afraid of it, but the teacher stays in the room. The teacher keeps the kids under control.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm totally disruptive. We're yelling and doing symbols and stomping our feet, and they know to go to recess after one of those because it's so energizing for the kids and for the reader. But you've got that support. It's not a scary situation at all. And the kids, they love everybody. They want people to talk to. They want people to listen to them. I mean, it's well,
and the book is pre-delivered to you along with that magic newsletter that has suggestions about what would you like what would be some good questions to lead in to get the kids interested in the book before you start, and the pictures and so forth. And we were taught at the beginning you're supposed to say who the author is and who the illustrator is. And I'll often say to the preschoolers now, after you've done a picture, doesn't your teacher sometimes ask you to make up a story to go with your picture? And the illustrator is the person who did the picture, and the writer is the one who did the story. And they really appreciate, but they really do appreciate having their own books.
They do.
That is an important part of it. And then hopefully it stimulates the child and the parent to want to go to the library where you can get tons of free books. But when kids are that little, they want to read the same book over and over and over again, and they need it at home. You can't just borrow it. You've got to have some of those resources. And I do want to remind people, we do surveys about the budget all the time. People are very sensitive to what our tax rate is in Hampton. This is a program that helps keep our tax rate lower because we are getting kids prepared for public schools. You don't need to put as many extra resources into that. You're reducing jail time, you're reducing youth violence. I mean, you're making this huge preventive impact, but what we need is more people to step up as readers, more groups or individuals to donate money so that we can buy those books and put them in the classroom, but it has a proven direct community benefit, and I'm not sure everybody understands that.
And it's just, as Allison said, it's fun. It's fun for the kids, it's fun for the volunteers, and it's very satisfying, and we really appreciate the groups who have supported it the whole time, and we want to remind them that we want to get the mayor and the superintendent out to remind them that, gee, it would be nice to contribute for next year so that we have all the money lined up and ready to go.
And on that note, we're going to prove to you that it's fun by taking you to a reading. School technically isn't in session right now, but the Mayor's Book Club and volunteer readers go to other sources in the community, summer programs, community development, youth, healthy families groups. So we're going to take you to one of those readings and let you see how much fun it is so that you will volunteer to help. Thanks for watching. Puppies can get you all wet. You know what a dog does after a bath? Just show me. They shake the water off, don't they? Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. Puppies can snuggle and cuddle with you. Aww. But best of all, puppies can give you lots of love. So that's one of the reasons people have pets. It's for fun and playing, but it's also for kisses and snuggles. Can we go through the book one more time? Okay, so we're gonna read it one more time, and you guys are gonna very quietly act some of it out, okay? This one you might not be super quiet at, but just do it once. Puppies wake you up in the morning.